The Pacific Ocean is even bigger than we can imagine. If you drill a hole straight through the Earth from the coast of Chile, it would still come out in the Pacific Ocean on the other side. In terms of geographical distribution, the world has 5 major divisions, and the largest portion among them is the Pacific Ocean. It covers a total area of 165 million square kilometers, which is larger than the total landmass of the Earth, which spans only 148 million square kilometers. This means that if we remove the other 4 options and consider only the Pacific Ocean, it alone is bigger than all the mountains, deserts, forests, and islands on our planet combined. Within this vast ocean, there are only a few island groups, and they are so small that they appear as mere dots compared to the massive ocean. To top it all off, most of these islands remain untouched by human footsteps even today. In simple terms, if someone gets lost in the Pacific Ocean, the chances of finding them are almost zero. But today, you'll learn the real-life story of a man who got lost in the Pacific Ocean. Not just for 20 or 30 days, but for a staggering 438 days. Yes, this man accidentally set a world record that no one would ever want to break. The longest time ever spent alone at sea. This record was set by Jose Salvador Alvarenga, who survived alone for 438 days in the vast ocean, on a tiny 7-foot boat. But the big question is, how did he survive alone in the middle of the ocean for 14 months? Before that, let's understand how he ended up lost at sea in the first place. This story dates back to 2012, in a small Mexican village called Costa Azul. Jose Salvador Alvarenga was a 36-year-old professional fisherman at the time. On November 17, 2012, he set out on a routine fishing trip completely unaware that he was about to embark on the most unbelievable survival story in modern history. Jose Salvador Alvarenga set out on his small boat with a companion for a fishing trip. Their plan was to spend only 30 hours at sea, so they did not carry much food or supplies. Their 7-foot boat had only a fishing net and a small refrigerator to store the fish. They took just 1 day's worth of food and water, completely unaware that the next 438 days would be the most horrific of their lives. They sailed 115 kilometers off the coast of Mexico and cast their fishing nets. But just then, a massive storm appeared out of nowhere. Fearing for their lives, they abandoned their fishing nets and raced back toward the shore. For the next 6 hours, they fought against the storm, pushing their boat at full speed. By 6 a.m., they were just 15 kilometers from shore, and they could see their village in the distance. It seemed like they had escaped the storm, but fate had other plans. Just 15 kilometers from safety, their boat's engine suddenly failed. Now, with no working engine and no paddles, they were stranded in the middle of the ocean. Their boat had no sails to control direction, but they still had a radio. Using it, they sent their location to their boss and waited for a response. But then, something happened that felt like a cruel joke of fate. While waiting for their boss's reply, the radio's battery died. Now, both Jose Alvarenga and his companion were completely cut off from the outside world. They were still in shock when something even worse happened. Strong winds began pushing their boat back into the open ocean. The shore they had seen just moments ago started fading away, getting smaller and smaller until it was completely out of sight. Meanwhile, their boss organized a search party and tried to find them in the Pacific Ocean, but it was already too late. As days passed, the chances of survival seemed impossible. By day 5, their boat had been pushed 550 kilometers away from shore. They had now entered the deep ocean, where no land was in sight, just endless water in every direction. They knew that their boat was too small to be spotted from a distance. They had no flares, no way to start a fire for smoke signals, and no means of communication. By now, Jose Alvarenga and his companion fully understood their chances of survival were less than 1%. The food and water they had brought were already gone. To stay alive, they started catching birds with their bare hands whenever they landed on the boat. They also grabbed fish from the water and ate them raw. Since drinking salt water is deadly, they collected rainwater in plastic bottles they found floating in the ocean. But on days when it didn't rain, they had no choice. They drank the blood of fish and turtles to quench their thirst. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The mental and physical torture they endured was beyond imagination. And then, tragedy struck. Jose Alvarenga's companion couldn't bear the torture any longer. On May 4th, after months of unbearable suffering, he gave up and took his own life. Now, Jose was completely alone adrift in the vast, silent ocean with no one to talk to. He was now trapped in a part of the Pacific Ocean known as one of the quietest places on Earth, where even cargo ships rarely pass. More than 6 months had passed since he had drifted away from the Mexican coast. He had lost his only companion, and the loneliness and mental agony were becoming unbearable. Then, one day, hope appeared far in the distance. He saw a cargo ship passing by. It was the first ship he had seen in 6 months. His will to survive reignited. He waved frantically, screamed, and did everything to get the ship's attention. But tragedy struck again. The ship's crew never saw him. Within moments, his last hope vanished into the horizon. Imagine the horror alone in the middle of the ocean, battling death every single day and watching your only chance of rescue slip away. Imagine fighting for survival every single day, only to see your chance of rescue slip away. After 10 months, Jose Alvarenga had drifted 7,000 kilometers across the Pacific Ocean. His clothes were torn to shreds, and to protect himself from the sun, he had only one undershirt left. Then, finally, fate showed him mercy. On January 30th, 2014, after 14 months at sea, Jose saw coconuts floating in the water. He immediately realized that land must be nearby, as the coconuts had likely fallen from trees on an island. A short while later, he spotted an island in the distance. Fearing that the current might pull him away, he jumped into the water and swam with all his strength toward the island. For the first time in 438 days, Jose stepped onto solid ground. As he looked around, he saw a small hut inside was a local islander. After 438 days of complete isolation, Jose finally made contact with another human being. The island he had reached was part of the Marshall Islands, and his unbelievable survival story was about to shock the world. The island Jose reached was a remote atoll called Ebon Atoll, part of the Marshall Islands. This tiny dot-sized island was thousands of kilometers away from where he had started. Had he missed this island, his next possible stop would have been the Philippines, another 5,000 kilometers away, which would have meant certain death. From the Marshall Islands, Jose was eventually sent back home. But just when he thought his struggles were over, a new problem arose. Upon returning, Jose published a book titled 438 Days, detailing his incredible survival story. However, controversy soon followed. He was accused of killing his companion for survival, even though his friend had actually died by suicide. Despite the legal battle, Jose's story remains one of the most unbelievable tales of human survival ever recorded. And with that, we reach the end of this amazing true story. If you found this inspiring, like and share, and stay tuned for more incredible stories in the next video.